Spear's inability to communicate prevents him from giving any sign that he is still the man Myra once loved, the same man who has now returned to protect her and remain by her side along with Fang. Everything begins exactly where the previous episode ended. Fang is immediately on edge, visibly enraged at the sight of Spear standing before her. His decaying state, the flies swarming around him, and the uncertainty of whether he might attack Myra or her people create an atmosphere of instant tension. Myra can only watch him closely. Her eyes trace over his body as she takes in the changes. Part of his skull is gone. One of his arms has no skin left, and a fang hangs around his neck like a necklace. It is clear that he is no longer the man she once knew, and yet she does not feel as though she is facing an enemy. With a slow, heavy motion, Spear reaches for his spear and secures it firmly at his side. The few survivors of the battle, witnessing this, panic and begin performing protective rituals. To them, what stands before them is not a man, but an undead being, an abomination that could only have been created through witchcraft. Spear, however, does not react. He has finally reached his destination, and unlike before, when Fang's roar stirred something within him, there is no stimulus now. He remains completely still. From a distance, Myra watches him and feels, deep down, that she can trust him. Fang, driven by her protective instincts, tries to stop her, fearing that something terrible might happen. Even so, Myra pushes her aside and slowly approaches Spear. She waves away the flies surrounding him with her hand. And the two of them stand there, staring at each other in silence. Myra introduces herself. The way she speaks her name triggers an immediate memory in Spear, the day she first did the same. Myra repeats her name again and again, while Spear can only look at her, lost in his memories, realizing that the woman standing before him is the one he loved when he was still alive. Unable to utter a single word, Spear lets out a cry. The sound instantly puts Fang on the defensive, and she answers with a powerful roar right in front of him. At first, Spear associates it with the roar of the lion he fought days earlier, but soon he understands the truth. It is the same roar he has been following since the moment he returned to life. Then it all becomes clear. The being before him is his friend, the companion who stood by him through countless adventures. Unable to explain who he is or how well he knows them, Spear can only rely on gestures and movements, trying to show everything he endured in order to be reunited with them. None of it is enough. Neither Fang nor Myra can truly understand what Spear is trying to communicate. Night has fallen, and everyone needs to rest. Realizing that the undead creature poses no immediate threat and shows no intention of attacking, they decide to stay there for the night. Even so, the men traveling with Myra continue performing their protective rituals, fearful that the beast could harm them at any moment. Myra cannot fall asleep, and it isn't because Spear is watching them from a distance, but because something deep inside her tells her there is a connection between them, a feeling she can't explain, yet one that refuses to fade. She takes a piece of chicken and, as a gesture of courtesy, brings it to Spear so he can eat. Almost immediately, she realizes how pointless the gesture is. He is in an advanced state of decay. Myra studies him closely, then gently taps the ground, signaling for him to sit down, just as she is. It takes Spear a few seconds to understand what she wants, but he eventually does. Even so, the stiffness of his bones makes it difficult for him to stay upright or assume a posture similar to hers. Suddenly, a snake emerges from the bushes. Before anyone can react, it lunges at Spear and sinks its fangs into him, injecting all of its venom. For a brief moment, everyone believes he will die on the spot, but the truth is quickly revealed. Spear is immune. With a single hand, he grabs the snake by the neck and, in a swift, brutal motion, strangles it to death. Determined to keep trying to communicate with him, Myra does something extremely risky. She takes Spear's hand and places it on her belly. Her intention is to show him that there is life inside her, that something is growing. After a few seconds, Spear shows no reaction. Myra notices and decides to try something else. She draws a human figure in the sand, and right at the belly, she draws a much smaller one. Through this symbolism, she tries to explain that the larger figure is her, and the smaller one represents what is growing inside her. Spear, unable to control his body or form words, lets out a shout to signal that he understands. But the sound shatters the calm of the moment and upsets Myra, who immediately worries about the baby. She decides to pull away and return to Fang, who watches Spear from a distance with deep anger. Spear, in turn, begins drawing beside the figures Myra left in the sand. Hearing the sound, Myra quickly gets up, filled with excitement, thinking he might be trying to tell her something important. Instead, she soon realizes they are nothing more than meaningless scribbles. That night, Myra dreams of the attack by the prehistoric boars that invaded her village, the same creatures that kidnapped the girl and several of its inhabitants. The dream ends abruptly when Fang roars upon seeing Spear too close to them. Myra tries to calm the situation, but she is ignored. This enrages her. She grabs her spear and, along with her men and Fang's young, decides to leave and continue their journey, abandoning Spear behind. Seeing Myra walk away, Fang has no choice but to follow her. Spear, unsure of what else to do, makes the only sensible decision. He stays behind them, following at a distance. Along the way, they find a clump of hair caught in the branches of a bush. It is a clear sign. They are on the right path, the trail that will lead them straight to the lair of those who kidnapped the villagers. Further ahead, Myra spots fresh blood on the ground. It hasn't dried, which can only mean one thing. They are close. Throughout the journey, Spear stays nearby, while the only two men left move forward in obvious fear, keeping a constant watch on him. They continue searching for clues and soon come across another abandoned object, a new sign that confirms they are following the right trail. Everything points in the same direction. There is no doubt about the path they must take, but the hours begin to take their toll. Fang's young start showing clear signs of exhaustion and eventually collapse onto the ground. Fang signals this to Myra, who decides they need to stop for a moment. Not far from there, they sit down to rest, eat a little, and regain their strength. Spear, who has been following them the entire time, approaches Myra. Remembering what she taught him earlier, he plants his spear into the ground and sits beside her. Fang reacts instantly. Enraged, she pushes him away without hesitation. The gesture sparks a tense confrontation between the two. Shouts, roars, and threatening glares fill the air as Myra struggles to calm them down. The tension shatters when a small boar emerges from the vegetation. It is the perfect moment to hunt. Everyone is starving. Fang's hunting instinct ignites immediately, and she charges after her prey. Seeing this, Spear relives a memory from his past life when he hunted to survive. At first, he doesn't know how to react, but soon the instinct kicks in, just as it has time and again throughout the series. Both of them give chase. They are exceptional hunters. Fang is the first to move and the one closest to catching the boar, but Spear surges ahead using his spear and is the one who ultimately kills it. This act unleashes Fang's fury. Without a second thought, she rams into Spear and slams him against a tree, ripping the prey away from him. The blow not only marks the beginning of an open rivalry between them, but also leaves Spear frustrated, completely overwhelmed by the situation. But Spear does not stop. Using nothing but raw strength, he shoves Fang with such force that he manages to knock her down. The impact not only enrages the dinosaur even further, but also completely destroys the prey they had just hunted. Now, face to face, the two prepare for an inevitable confrontation, one in which only one of them can walk away alive. The clash between Fang and Spear is abruptly interrupted by the desperate screams of the two men traveling with them. A troop of Mandrils has attacked. The fight is brutal and short-lived. Both men are killed, while Fang's young and Myra try to defend themselves against an assault they clearly have no chance of surviving. Fang and Spear are attacked as well, but thanks to their strength, they manage to break free. That is when they realize the truth. Myra has been abducted by the beasts. Without losing a second, they give chase. Spear proves, surprisingly, to be the fastest. He follows the Mandril's trail as they move with extreme agility through the treetops. Spear tries to imitate them, swinging from branch to branch, but fails and falls. Instead of giving up, he backtracks and tries again along the same path. This time he does better, only to hit another obstacle and fall once more from above. Still, he gets back up and tries again. He repeats the process over and over until he finally manages to close the distance with the beasts. With his spear in hand, Spear begins taking down the Mandrils one by one. There are many of them, and for a moment the rescue mission seems impossible. But the spear becomes his greatest advantage. Thanks to it, he manages to kill them all. Only one remains, the Mandril carrying Myra. It drags her to the top of a tree, where its nest lies. It hurls her down without mercy, leaving her to fall among the remains of human and animal bones. From the darkness, small Mandrils begin to emerge, intent on feeding on her. Fortunately, there are no adult mandrills nearby. Myra defends herself using a bone she finds on the ground and manages to escape, slipping into the shadows to avoid being seen. She weaves through the branches of the massive trees surrounding her, desperately trying to reach safety. However, more adult mandrills appear, causing her to lose her balance and fall into the void below. Myra manages to grab onto a vine, but it is only a matter of time before she is caught. Just then, Spear arrives and begins taking down the beasts. In the midst of the chaos, Myra falls from above. Without hesitation, Spear leaps after her. He catches her in his arms and uses his own body to break the fall, absorbing impact after impact until they crash into the ground. The act saves Myra's life, but leaves Spear severely damaged. His arm and one of his fingers are nearly destroyed. Trying to undo the damage, Myra sews Spear's arm back onto his body. He then signals for her to stitch his finger as well. Little by little, it becomes clear that he is beginning to recover something he once lost: his humanity. Fang still refuses to accept him, but the ones who do are the young. Without hesitation, they approach and curl up between Spear's legs. Myra tries once more. She introduces herself by name, hoping he will do the same. The attempt fails. Spear can only answer with a cry. Even so, Myra smiles. She knows that maybe one day he will be able to say her name. And when that day comes, she will understand that he is the same man who saved her life in the past, and who, even as a walking dead man, has done so once again. And in this way, the episode comes to an end.